There comes a point after 50 when strength is no longer proven in public. Most men never notice when that shift happens. They just wonder why life feels heavier. Usually around the same time their patience runs out faster than their energy. Just ordinary days, not when life is loud, but when mornings arrive without urgency, when no one checks in, when your choices are yours alone. This is where weak men drift and strong men finally appear. Not through dominance, not through noise, measured responses made without validation. If you've learned to carry your weight without needing recognition, to move forward even when no one is watching, to remain grounded when comfort disappears, then you may already be further along than you realize. The kind of strength no one taught you to recognize. Today we'll uncover the signs of a truly strong man after 50, even when he stands alone. You stay calm. When everything rushes, have you noticed how being busy stops feeling productive? After 50, that confusion starts costing you more than energy. It costs clarity. At this age, every choice has weight. They rush, they stay busy, they answer everything, and slowly mistake exhaustion for strength. But strength isn't in how fast you move. It's in how clearly you can see when everything around you spins, like sitting steady while others keep shifting in their chairs. The strong man doesn't sprint to prove his worth. He moves with intent. He knows that not every conflict deserves his energy. Some battles exist only to steal your focus. He pauses once, and that pause saves him months of cleanup. Most men recognize its value only after paying the full price, like fixing the leak early instead of replacing the whole floor later. He saves his words and his fire because he's learned that control is louder than anger and direction beats speed every time. Think about that moment when a family member pushed a familiar button, a careless comment, an old accusation, the kind you've heard for years, but you didn't. You saw the pattern behind the words, the habit, the insecurity, the need to provoke. So you stayed calm and let it pass. Not because you were afraid, but because you understood the cost of engaging. That's not weakness. That's mastery. And if you've been that man who kept moving until you broke, listen, you didn't fail, you just learned the lesson earlier. Most men learn it only after paying a price they didn't expect. Now you know, focus is fuel, distraction quietly drains it. So you simplify your days, guard your time, and stop explaining your choices. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." That's command, internal, unshakable. What lasts is built without being announced. They let discipline speak for them. They don't rush to be seen. They move so cleanly that results eventually have to speak. And when the world pushes you to hurry, take a breath and smile. You're not behind, you're just done performing. If this felt familiar, let it land. No reaction needed. Tomorrow morning, pause before your first reaction. That's enough. Ask yourself, are you moving to escape the noise or finally learning to move through it? Most men don't realize what that pause quietly protects. You say no without losing yourself. When was the last time you said yes and felt tired before the call even ended, especially when your energy doesn't recover the way it used to? Picture this. Your younger brother calls again, asking to be rescued. This time you stay calm. You tell him, "Listen, I care about you enough to stop fixing this for you." He gets angry, maybe hangs up. You don't chase. You let the silence do its work. That's not coldness, it's maturity. Because enabling is not compassion, it's control disguised as help. It's easier to fix others than to sit with your own limits. They try to buy relief by saying yes to everything. It works until it doesn't. All they get is entitlement from others. A grown man doesn't build fences. He chooses when to open the gate and doesn't explain when he doesn't. Because what you allow decides what shows up, especially when the explanation would cost him his peace. Real strength begins the moment you understand that No is not rejection, it's protection. It just feels uncomfortable the first few times. You can care deeply and still know where you stand. You can help others without handing out the password to your inner life. Epictetus wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself. Freedom is choosing who gets access and when, because every open door eventually costs you a part of yourself. It means standing in the middle of chaos and saying, 'This part is mine.' You're not cruel for drawing a line. You're courageous for keeping it. This isn't distance, it's preservation. They protect the version of you that shows up with patience, with purpose. So when people say you've changed, smile. You didn't change. You just stopped abandoning yourself to please them. Back then, you probably called that being easy to work with. Most men remember exactly how heavy that used to feel. The first time they said no and felt both guilty and free. And that's a win only strong men understand. You don't owe everyone access, just the ones who earn it. That line stays in place longer than most relationships do. If this part made you uncomfortable, stay with it. That discomfort usually means something just clicked. You make it right, then let it go. A grown man doesn't hide from mistakes. He faces them, fixes what he can, and releases what he can't. After 50, mistakes stop being lessons. They become weight you carry. Holding on doesn't make you loyal. It makes you heavy. I once knew a man named Daniel who hadn't spoken to his closest college friend in years. A business fallout, harsh words. Pride kept both sides waiting. When his friend fell ill, Daniel showed up. No explanations, no revisiting the past. He sat down, stayed a while, and said, "I'm here." The room felt lighter without a single explanation. Nothing else needed to be said. That was enough. That's what making it right looks like for men. It's rarely emotional, rarely perfect. Some things don't need apologies. Showing up is enough. It's a firm step toward alignment, not performance. And if that's you too, don't feel ashamed. Distance is often where men learn restraint. Most men confuse guilt with honor. They think punishing themselves makes them accountable. What matters isn't replaying your mistakes. It's learning the lesson and refusing to repeat it. Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." The past doesn't break you. It's your attachment to it that does. The pattern doesn't change when the stage gets bigger. Even great men fall. Robert Downey Jr., the actor best known for playing Iron Man, once lost everything that gave him status and direction. He stepped back, faced what ruined him, and rebuilt his life to stop living in denial. That's what rebuilding actually looks like. Because making it right isn't about who forgives you. It's about whether you stop dragging the past into every spare moment. So if you've broken something, make it right. Call, show up, fix what's yours. But when you've done that, let go. You can't build the future with hands still clinging to old wreckage. A man doesn't live in regret, he builds from it. Many men mistake guilt for loyalty. Letting go is often the last work maturity asks of you. Most men don't finish that work until much later. You keep your word when no one is counting. After 50, motivation becomes unreliable. What carries you forward is whether you still do what you said you would. At this stage, you already know how short praise lasts. What stays is whether you trust yourself at the end of the day. Think of a man who keeps the same routine year after year. No reminders, no external push. Just small promises kept long enough to reshape his life. Like tightening one loose bolt each day until the whole structure holds. That's the kind of foundation that lasts. Most men burn out chasing a reaction. It lifts you for a moment, then drops you. You recognize that feeling the morning after. Consistency isn't exciting. It never makes a good story at dinner. No one leans in when you say, "I just kept going." It's what keeps a man steady when the mood fades. Musonius Rufus once said, "Practice is more important than theory." At this age, values mean nothing unless they survive repetition. If you've ever kept going without momentum, that's when the habit finally belongs to you. It removes the temptation to perform. It leaves you with the work. A man isn't measured by attention, he's measured by follow-through. He doesn't chase comfort, he builds capability. When recognition comes, let it pass without changing your routine. Recognition is temporary. Follow-through is what remains. Tomorrow, keep the promise you already made to yourself. That habit outlasts every reaction you'll ever meet. That's why most people quit right before it works. You know when to speak and when to stop. After 50, the hardest part of honesty isn't saying what's true. It's knowing when saying it helps and when it only feeds the moment. That's what growth looks like. The day you stop fighting to prove and start choosing what's worth addressing. Because restraint isn't weakness. It's judgment shaped by experience. That moment after a conversation when you realize nothing was gained. A seasoned man speaks to resolve it. That difference only becomes clear after years of consequences. A colleague makes a sharp remark during a meeting. You don't respond in the moment. Later, you say one sentence in private, then you stop. You don't spend the evening replaying the damage you didn't cause. Years ago, that same sentence would have turned into a 3-hour argument in your head. That quiet night is the real win. There's a moment every man faces. That split second between what you feel and what you say. Usually when the moment has already passed, they confuse volume with power. Over time, a man learns his point lands better when it's measured. He learns to wait 2 beats before he speaks. A seasoned man has traded heat for nuance, like learning to lower the flame instead of burning the whole kitchen. He listens longer, reacts slower, and speaks with precision. Because he knows words can heal or destroy, and the hardest truth, when said right, can still land softly. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If it is not true, do not say it. If it is not right, do not do it." A measured tone doesn't mean you've softened. It means you've learned what's worth carrying forward. If choosing your words feels heavier than before, that's not loss. That's experience settling in. That restraint changes more conversations than words ever did. Take a second here. Nothing to solve. Just notice what stayed with you. You continue without needing approval. After 50, progress often stops announcing itself. Things still move, but without signals others notice. You keep a routine that no one asks about anymore. Not because it excites you, but because stopping would cost more. A parking lot guard works the same shift every night. No one applauds him when the lot stays orderly. That's usually a good sign the job's being done. Cars come and go, nothing about the PM asks him to feel inspired. He keeps returning because the work still matters to him. Every man reaches a point where quitting feels logical. Continuing feels deliberate. Quitting would have made a much better excuse. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. What slows you down often becomes the work itself." If support feels absent right now, don't rush to correct it. This phase teaches you how to continue without feedback or reassurance. At some point, encouragement stops being necessary. This chapter rarely looks important while you're in it. That's often how the ones that matter begin. You maintain your physical capacity, not your image. After 50, strength stops being about how you look. It becomes about what your body can still do when life demands it. You don't train to impress, you train so your body doesn't become a liability. You keep moving. You lift what needs lifting. You walk, stretch, breathe, recover. Not because it's exciting, but because neglect shows up faster at this age. A man who ignores his body eventually pays for it with his independence. A man who maintains it buys himself time, clarity, and options. The Stoics understood this well. The body is not decoration, it's the vehicle that carries your discipline into the world. You don't need extremes, you need consistency. That quiet routine keeps you capable long after motivation disappears. You pass on what cost you years to learn. At some point, strength stops being personal. It becomes transferable. You notice a younger man watching how you move. Not what you say, what you tolerate, what you refuse, what you repeat. You don't lecture, you don't preach, you show. You answer one question honestly. You warn him about one mistake you paid for. You let him decide what to do with it. That's mentorship at this stage. Not control, not authority. Just clarity passed forward. A man who keeps everything he learned to himself didn't really master it. A man who passes it on turns experience into legacy. You choose your direction, not the script. Have you ever realized you've been loyal to a life that no longer fits? Most men spend years following scripts they never wrote. At some point, it even starts to feel like your own idea. That's not failure. It's the awakening before freedom. It was living on a plan that expired years ago. That's when something inside whispers, "It's my life. It's now or never." You hear that line and understand what freedom costs. Epictetus wrote, "No great thing is created suddenly." And he was right. Authentic living takes time. It forms through repeated choices not to cross your own line. You stop performing for people who don't even notice the effort. You stop dimming your fire to keep others comfortable. Strong men don't need the crowd to understand. They need to respect the man in the mirror. They know that integrity lasts longer than loud success. That thought returns quietly over time, like noticing a road sign you've passed 100 times before. Do you remember the exact moment you stopped living for others? You don't get to live twice. And this time, the only permission you need is your own. At this stage, setting your direction is no longer dramatic. It's simply overdue. Most men don't turn back once they finally see that. You choose a smaller circle and stay with it. After 50, a man learns a quiet truth. More connections don't always mean more support. Experience teaches the opposite. Depth over width, presence over popularity. He doesn't chase every connection. He chooses a few and commits. What matters isn't how many people know your name. It's who still calls when honesty is required. For a long time, a man moves through too many circles, work gatherings, old friendships, endless phone calls that fill the week but leave nothing behind. Somehow, the calendar stays full anyway. Being busy is not the same as being needed. Eventually, he narrows it down. One small badminton group, no titles, no explanations. Just a shared court in familiar routines. They play a few times a week, talk between matches, laugh, complain about sore knees, then play again. Over time, that smaller circle gives more grounding than years of crowded schedules ever did, like clearing the room and noticing what remains. That's the thing about connection. It forms through time spent together. A full contact list doesn't mean a full life. Most of those names won't show up when life actually asks something of you. Seneca wrote, "One who is everywhere is nowhere." And he was right, because spreading yourself thin might look social, but it slowly drains your soul. Strong men don't need crowds to feel alive. They need purpose, consistency, and loyalty. So stop running from group to group, chasing a sense of belonging that keeps slipping through your fingers. Find one place that makes you feel grounded and show up for it, even if it looks boring to everyone else. Over time, that small ritual builds a brotherhood a crowd never could. A smaller circle doesn't shrink your life, it sharpens it. Few people, clear roles, years that add up. That's usually how real belonging works. Most men don't realize they already have it. You step back to rebuild what still matters. I once met a man named Cole who came back from life with less than he left with. For a long time, he withdrew from everyone, not to disappear, but to relearn how to live with what remained. He spent his days rebuilding his routines, finding new ways to be useful. When I saw him again years later, he said, "I can't do everything I used to, but I can still contribute." He didn't return angry, he returned adjusted. Not better, just different. Different is often the part no one prepares you for, especially when everyone expects you to bounce back the same. Sometimes the win is learning how to live differently, not getting back what was lost. Not every wound needs an audience. Some struggles are meant to be handled away from attention. When life cuts deep, they don't perform their pain. They step back to reset. When a wolf is injured, it leaves the pack, not to quit, but to recover before returning. That's how a man grows after loss, betrayal, or failure. You don't have to prove that you're unbreakable. Stepping back isn't giving up. Most men only see that in hindsight. It's choosing timing. The world says to keep pushing, but the wise man knows some progress only happens when nothing is pulling at you. Grinding through everything usually breaks more than it builds. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." What stands in the way often becomes the work itself. And that's what most people miss. Healing time isn't wasted time. If you're in that season, don't rush the return. Some chapters are meant to be rebuilt before they're resumed. Ask yourself, are you trying to prove you've moved on, or are you slowly becoming someone who no longer needs to? After 50, rebuilding matters more than returning. It's about coming back changed in the ways that last. If this feels familiar, you're not behind. You're just doing work most people avoid. You protect your time and energy like a man who's been there. After 50, you stop calling it maturity. You call it kind because every unnecessary situation now charges interest. Your body pays it first. And the older you get, the bill comes due in your sleep. That's usually when men finally start paying attention. You reach an age where drama doesn't impress you anymore. You've argued with people who never listened and paid for it later. At this age, well-being looks simple. 8 hours of sleep, a muted phone, and no midnight check-ins. Somehow that now feels luxurious. A grown man doesn't disappear. He selects. He knows not every invitation deserves a yes, and not every argument deserves an answer, because your attention is a budget, and some people try to spend it for you. Usually without asking. A friend of mine worked in a job where everything was treated like an emergency. He was good at his job, but he was living on caffeine and anxiety. After months of late nights, he realized he wasn't tired from work. He was tired from constant urgency. So he changed one habit. He stopped answering every message immediately. He took lunch breaks alone at the park. He turned off notifications after 9 p.m. No rebellion, no dramatic exit, just a new standard. And within weeks, his mind felt usable again. He told me, the first boundary feels rude, the second feels normal. Seneca said, "He who is brave is free." Sometimes the bravest move is leaving early, especially when you already know how the night ends. It's not weakness to say, "This isn't for me." It's wisdom. You don't need bigger boundaries. You need fewer exceptions. Most damage happens in the exceptions. It means letting go of people who only appear when you're shining and holding close the ones who bring calm when you're collapsing. A man stops chasing every argument. He saves his best hours for what actually improves his life. So the next time someone tries to pull you into their chaos, don't bite. You've worked too hard to get here. Your stability isn't a gift, it's earned. Ask yourself, are you still chasing reactions? Or are you finally protecting your days? That answer changes over time. At this age, that's what winning looks like. At the end of it all, strength isn't about how loud you can be or how much you can carry. It's about how deeply you can stay grounded when everything around you shakes. Strong men don't live to impress. At some point, performing for others just wears you out. They've been tested. They learned what to carry forward and what to leave behind. That choice usually comes after carrying too much for too long. Maybe that's you now. Maybe you're in the rebuilding season, alone, tired, misunderstood. Not exactly a phase you'd post about. That stage isn't a pause. It's the sorting phase where less starts to make sense. And that's usually when life starts fitting again. Nothing you're doing now is wasted. It's shaping what comes next. One day you'll look back and realize what you fought for became the foundation of the man you were meant to be. Thank you for walking this far with me. If these words found you at the right time, remember, you're not just surviving life, you're mastering it, one deliberate step at a time. This is Move or Die Stoic, for men who've lived long enough to choose differently. And if you recognize yourself here, you're exactly where you should be. If one of these signs felt familiar, leave a comment with the one you were working on. Not to prove anything, just to name it. Sometimes that's how the shift becomes real. Most men only understand that after they've already lived it.